Welcome to this video on average rate of return. Businesses often have to make choices about investments. This might involve making decisions on machinery or equipment required, or if they want to expand their premises. Any investments made are going to be with the hope of making a profit. The business should be able to compare the return that they would get from investing their money in a bank with the investment project presented to them. If the profit that they'd make from an investment is higher than that offered in a bank, then it means that they would potentially financially be better off investing in a project. The average rate of return is always expressed as a percentage, and businesses want this percentage to be as high as possible. Here is a formula that you need in order to calculate the average rate of return. Average annual profit divided by the cost of investment multiplied by 100. So the answer will always be a percentage. And here are the steps you need to follow in order to get the correct answer. Now, calculating the ARR is not tricky. However, some students miss out on a step or two and then their answer won't be correct. Do check out the free resources in the description box. They are there to help support your studies. So grab yourself a pen and paper and let's work through the average rate of return questions. Our first question, and we're starting off with a bit of an easy one here. So, Marissa owns a dry cleaning business and wants to purchase some new machinery which is estimated to cost £120,000 over a 5-year period, with an expected return of £220,000. Marissa would like to know the ARR for the machinery before making the decision to buy it. So let's go to our steps. Step 1, we need to add up the project's total profit. So we know the total profit, that is £220,000. And it's also highlighted that there are costs there, which is £120,000. So we need to deduct that, and that gives us £100,000. Step 2, divide the profit from the project by the number of years given in the extract. So we know that is over a 5-year period. So £100,000 divided by 5, and that gives us £20,000. So now we need to input that information into the formula, because the £20,000 is how much the project would make for Marissa each year. So we now need to put that information into the formula to calculate the ARR for Marissa. So that will be £20,000 divided by the cost of investment, which is £120,000, and times that by 100. And the answer is 16.66%. On to our next question, and this question now requires us to calculate the average rate of return for project X and project Y. So this might be a case where the manager wants to know which project is going to give them the better rate of return. So let's review the table, the information in the table, and then look at the steps, and obviously include and apply the formula. So let's focus on project X first. So we need to add up the project's total profit. So the total profit for project X is £27 million, and the costs, the capital cost of the project, the initial cost, is £10 million, and that gives us 17 million. So step 2, we are required to divide the profit from the project by the number of years given in the extract. That's 17 million divided by the 5 years, which gives us £3.4 million. Now we need to put that information into our formula. So the average annual profit is now 3.4 million divided by 10 million times by 100, and the answer is 34%. On to project Y, and the manager or managers will be comparing the rate of return to see which one is better. Remember, the higher the better, typically, because one might have more risks associated with it, but You'd be able to see that from the case study. On to project Y. So add up the project's total profit and deduct any costs. Total profit is 22 million for project Y and the costs are 8 million. And that gives us 14 million. And then we need to divide the 14 million by the amount of years. And that's 5 years. And that gives us 2.8 million. So now we need to input that data into the formula. 2.8 million divided by 8 million, which is the cost of the investment, times by 100, and that gives us 35%. Just a reminder to like, share, and subscribe, as I do post regularly. On to our next question. This one is a little bit of a tricky one, so we'll work through it. Using the data in extract B, calculate the average rate of return from purchasing a pair of glasses. You are advised to show your working. Step 1. Add up the project's total profit. Now, if we look at the table, we can see the estimated increased earnings per person per year is £108. And that is expected, the life of a pair of glasses is expected to be for 2 years. So what that means is we need to multiply £108 by 2, because that's the total profit or the increased earnings for the duration of that time. Okay, so it's 108 times the 2 years, which gives us £216. So that's our profit. We need to deduct any costs, as it says in step 1. And the cost is the price, which is £4. So 216 minus the £4 equals £212. So we've got that information, that key information there. Now we need to be able to divide the profit from the project by the number of years. So that will be 212 divided by 2, which would give us £106. So we have our average annual profit, which is £106. We need to now divide that by the cost of the investment, which is £4, and times it by 100. And our answer is 2,650%. For this question, you are required to calculate the average rate of return for project A, B, and C. We've got the steps, we've got the formula. Hopefully we can move quite swiftly through this section now because we're familiar with what to do. However, if you feel the need to pause, then do so. If you feel the need to rewind, then feel free to do so also. Let's start with project A. So the total profits for project A, we can see is £70,000 and the costs were £50,000. That gives us £20,000. Now we need to divide the £20,000 by the number of years, and we know that's 5 years, which gives us £4,000. Now we can input that data into the formula. So that's £4,000 divided by the cost of the investment for project A, which is £50,000. Times that by 100, and that gives us 8%. Project B. Total profits for project B are £60,000, and we can see that the capital cost is £40,000. That gives us £20,000 remaining. £20,000 divided by the 5 years gives us £4,000. And we need to input that information now into the formula. So that's £4,000 divided by £40,000, times that by 100, and that gives us 10%. Now on to the final project, project C. Total profits for project C are £130,000 and the capital cost is £90,000. That gives us £40,000. £40,000 divided by the 5 years equates to £8,000. Now you need to input that information into the formula. So that's 8,000 divided by 90,000 times by 100. And that gives us 8.88%. So out of all of these 3 projects, we can see that the highest is project B. So they get the highest return from project B. So that might be the one that they're going to go forward with. Thank you for watching this video. The next 2 videos that you'll see on the screen are what YouTube thinks you should watch next.